There we are. Hello, YouTube. Not watching yet. That's fine. Doesn't bother me. We are going to tonight continue modeling with our Volvo wheel lifter. What is it? We're going to continue modeling our Volvo wheel loader. And we have some upgrades. We have as you can see here, I can get much better quality detail on the parts to share with you guys as I'm modeling these pieces. So very happy with that. That means we've been able to update our parts, our sort of samples here to see what we've done. So we've done so far the axle parts. We've done some of these small joiners. Last week we did some gears. We do have some work to tidy those up, particularly that top one. We'll get to that eventually. Today, we're going to try and knock out all of these parts over here. All right, that's our aim for today. They're all very similar. Yes, they're different colors, but there's a lot of shared details between them. And if we have a look at those parts, I'll just get rid of everything else now. What do we have to do? That one and that one. Everything else is done. So these parts that we're doing, they are called, let me find it, they are called the Technic Liftarms. And if I find them in the Bricklink catalog here, we've got black Technic Liftarms, modified bent, with different, one's an L-shape, one's a thick 1x7, one's a thin. You can see this one here, different thickness to this. Okay, so yeah, all very, very similar. I think we'll do the thin ones last. There, we'll just set them up here. These ones here, I think we'll just start with the standard one. We'll get this piece done, and then we'll work out how to modify our design to get these alternative shapes. We're not going to do configurations. What we will do is do one part, save that, and then save copies of the other ones, and then modify each file individually. And there's a few duplicates of some of these that are different colors. So this green L-shaped one, there's also a black version. We're just going to model the green one and we'll save a copy for the black. All right, so that's the plan. And so if you're jumping onto this stream after it's finished, for any future streams, feel free to jump on and ask me any questions, SolidWorks related or design related, and I will answer them for you. Okay, I'm very keen for these streams to be kind of interactive. Just give me a little bit more to do rather than just plain modeling, recording these lessons. So yeah, if anyone does jump on, feel free to ask away. All right, let's get going. So this first part that we're going to do, this one is called a dark bluish grey Technic Liftarm, thick 1x5. You can see it here. And if we have a look, there's a 3D here, just gives us a little bit of a guide, but we can now with our camera actually And let me see if I can zoom the camera. Yeah, device in use. Oh, there we go. What I want to do is duplicate this. I wonder if I can change one without affecting the other. Don't know. We'll see. Oh, that's pretty good. But it's the same file. I'm going to have to delete one. Sorry for the muck around. Oh, that's pretty big. Hello, guys. We're just getting the camera ready. Zoomed in. Now, is that going to swap between them? Hello, Het. I am just trying to configure my new cameras. Much better detail on this. We'll stick with that one for now. That one works. All right, let's model. So this one will be on the top plane. And I'll get some calipers. And we know from experience that these are typically 9 point something apart, or 8. 7.8, I think it'll be. So we're going to start with the outside shape. And I'm going to start from the origin and go sideways. And just draw a slot. So this is using the slot tool, and we're using a straight slot which has starting point, ending point, diameter. Now we'll dimension it. And we're going to dimension using the outer dimensions that we can measure. So we're going to measure this, for instance, the width, 7.2, and the length, it's not quite that, it's going to be a little bit more, 39.2 or 0.4. So 7.2, but divide that by 2 because it's a radius. And then for here we hold shift to click to get the outside diameter, and it's just 39.4. We can always change those dimensions later. Het, great question. So rookie speed modeling, how can you progress quicker and model really quick? Practice. Practice, practice. Now, I assume you've seen Too Tall Toby's website. Definitely want to check that out. Jump in his practice models and work through the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and so on models. And if there are models that have tutorials from other users, watch those tutorials and learn for your same CAD software. There's a couple of models on there that I've done tutorials for that you can check out. That's a great way to really learn from other users, and then, of course, your own practice. I hope that helps. Okay, so we've done the outside shape. We can now do the 5 holes as well. So each of these holes, to measure the inside, we're going to use the top part of the calipers, and I'm going to go inside the middle hole, push out, and I can see that hole is about 4.8 millimeters, which is pretty consistent with everything else we do. We're going to do the hole on the origin, type in the dimension, and then in this example we've got 5 holes, so we're going to select that one, do a linear sketch pattern, change the number to 5. I'm going to increase the dimensions, but I'm not going to put the spacing in. I'm not going to add tick this box here. I'm just going to press the tick. That leaves them underdefined, but they are patterned. All right, so as I drag this line out, they're going to all move together. And what I can do is drag this 5th one onto this center point, and now it's fully defined. Het Patel, did you see the speed modeling finals that just happened? That was very good between Ricardo and Artse. Okay, so next step on this part, we're going to extrude it up. So I'm going to measure that height. That height is 7.8 millimeters. So I'm going to hit E for extrude on my shortcuts and go up to 7.8. Press OK. And there is the base of our part. Now at this point, it's a good idea to save. So I'm just going to find the name of that file. It's here. This one here. I'll get the name from this. And save. I'm trying to use a consistent naming convention for all my parts. Yep, Ricardo won. He did really well. There were some very tricky challenges. I did a tutorial on those challenges. If you care to watch one of my recent videos, feel free to check it out. Okay, now the next detail we're going to do on the part, we will do now that thin lip feature. Okay, so let's see if this works. All right, there's some camera issues. Please pardon me while I'm playing with getting the cameras right for this tutorial. All right, we'll stick with that. That looks pretty good. Now, so that indent detail, so that's what I'm talking about here, that step down. Now, that's pretty hard to model, or pretty hard to measure, sorry, it's so small. What we can do is measure the diameter at least, and it kind of looks like the width, you know, going this way horizontally is almost the same as the depth. So we might consider it that way. Now we know that the diameter when we measure these was 4.8. If I measure the top outer circle, I'm getting about 6.2. All right, so that is a 1.4 mil difference. Now how that looks in our model, there's a few different ways of doing it. I'm going to show maybe the easiest way. And in the easiest way, we actually do not need to create a new sketch at all. We can use this existing sketch. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to select the sketch. I'm going to do a feature, extrude cut. But I just have to change some selections. So I go to selected contours. I delete that sketch from that selection. I'm going to select each of these edges. All right, so I'm selecting the 5 circles, not the outside contour. And then I'm going to change it to a thin feature. And what did we say? That the diameter went from 4.8 to 6.2, which is 1.4 mil difference, which means this needs to go to 0.7. And then if we have the depth as the same, 0.7, we reverse the direction, and that's going to go to cut. upwards. And there is our cut detail. Trying to match. Now, it looks pretty good. I'm reasonably happy. What we can do is, check. We'll put this into our assembly here. Let me just flip it over. So just temporarily, I'm going to fix that in place. And why don't I grab one of these parts and see how it fits. A circular mate, and then a coincident mate. And that looks pretty good, right? I've got this size as 6 and this as 6.2, just a tiny bit of clearance. As for the depth, from this face to this face, 0.7, from this face to this face, 1.1. So maybe it needs to be a little bit deeper, because when we put another one of these on the other side, let's put it here, let's flip it around. If we get that face to be on this face here, we can see that there's a gap between them, which shows me either the dimension of this part is too big or our cut is too small. What's more likely when we're measuring? Out of these two, which am I able to measure more accurately? The depth of that cut or the width of this section here? This one I can get a reasonably accurate measurement on. So I'm more confident in that being right than this. So I should change this. So if I edit this part, I edit that depth, 0.7 to 0.9. Update my assembly. Did that do the right thing? I'm not sure it did. No, wrong dimension. Depth 0.9. Once I press refresh on my assembly, rebuild, it moves those together and now there's no gap. Perfect, right? It's exactly what we want. So I'm going to come back over here to this part with that updated detail and now mirror it to the other face. To do that, we need to put a plane in between the faces, or probably what's better is to change our boss extrude to be mid-plane. This will have another effect, but we will fix that in a second. And that effect is that this cut has all of a sudden gone to the middle. So I'm going to edit this cut and change it, the starting point from to go from this face. Now, having done that, I don't think we can now mirror, but there'll be other ways of doing the same thing. If I try to mirror, I'm going to get the preview, but I think it's going to say it cannot find a face or plane. Well, it's giving me an error. If I say what's wrong, some features disjoint cannot be created. Basically, when we use this extrude cut, because we're selecting this face, when we're mirroring, it's a different face. It can't mirror the whole feature. So that's a problem now. If I edit this and I change it to geometry pattern, that works. Because it focuses on the geometry rather than worrying about the face that you're selecting. That's a nice little handy trick. All right, so not too much more to this part. Now we're at this point. How can I put the arrow on the left? I'm sorry, Fabio, I'm not quite sure what you mean. If you're going to ask in a different way, I'd be happy to try and answer for you. I'm going to save that part. Now we're going to focus on the little detail, this little cut that's in between. To do the cut, I'm going to go on the top plane. I'm going to use this top face. And what we're going to do here is try and measure the thickness of one of those offset sections. So I'm going to measure from one edge inside to outside. And I'm getting a dimension that's pretty close to 0.5 millimeter. Some arrows popping out, okay. I suppose you're referring to these arrows. These are triggered by Instant 3D. So Instant 3D, you can see on my command manager at the top here. Instant 3D lets you drag handles and dimensions and geometry to dynamically modify features, which means when I click on a feature, let's just click on this boss extrude, I can see all the dimensions in the sketch that creates that feature, as well as the feature thickness itself, which is 7.8. And what I can do is click and drag to make it thicker rather than inputting a dimension. No, the contingent arrow. If I put the cursor on the cut extrude, these arrows in the feature tree, I've only used these more recently. And those arrows are showing the parent features and the child features. And if I right click at the top of my feature tree, I can see in the shortcut bar here, there's dynamic reference visualization parent. And the same for child. And what that lets you do is very quickly see any child features and any parent features driving the current selected feature. Yeah. So I'll see if I've got another example for you. Let's look at this one. So this part has quite a few more features. If I click on this boss extrude here, you can see what's driving this one is the origin is boss extrude 1 and the shell. Now, what this lets you do is if you're reordering or changing any features in your tree, it means I can drag this feature up to the point of where the next parent feature is. In this case, the shell is right here. I can't drag this feature above that shell. It's not going to work. The shell, meanwhile, I could drag all the way back up to the top. It's probably going to have an impact on the geometry, but I can do it if I want to. Great question. Right. So back onto this detail. On the top face, I'm going to do a new sketch. And I'm going to do an offset. But I want to first convert everything that was in the original sketch. Actually, that's not going to do it for me. I want to offset. I'm going to offset two different ways, right? So from the outside face, has got a different thickness. That's 1 millimeter from that outside edge. So from this face, I'm going to go offset 1 millimeter. All right, that's one sketch. And then I'm also going to, because I want to do these ones all at the one time, I'm going to convert these edges. I'm going to select them all and go offset entities and change this to 0.5 and make this construction geometry the base geometry for construction. And what this has done is create like a number of different contours. Now you'll notice I do not use shaded sketch contours, but if I turn that on, you can see that there's multiple contours here. Let's leave that on for a little bit while we're working so you guys can understand. I'm now going to do a cut extrude, and because there's so many contours, I need to select which ones I'm going to use. And I'm going to use these sections in between. And then I just have to work out the depth. Now, we know that there's a wall that goes all the way through the middle for those sections. So the cut's not going all the way through. Let's assume that that middle wall is the same thickness as these outer walls, which is about 1 millimeter. So when I cut down, I want to cut down offset from the top surface, which is here. And then I make my offset 0.5 of a millimeter. That means when I mirror it to the other side, it's going to have a consistent thickness through the middle. Right? So we've done that first cut extrude there. Once again, I'm going to use top plane and I'm going to do a mirror. Now, that may have caused an error. No, that one's worked. Okay, so my section view, let's just change that. Okay, we can see that we've kept this wall through the middle, so we've got a consistent thickness. Now, I've got no way of measuring that. It's too small to get in there, so I'm just going to assume, make an assumption. Perhaps it could be a bit thicker, could be more like this wall thickness, which is 1.2. In which case, change this cut extrude to 0.6 off the face. Hello, Kev. Thanks for joining. Appreciate that. New camera here with much better quality detail. So keen to give it a whirl. All right, that part's looking pretty good. We just now need to add these really small radiuses that you can see everywhere. And once again, too small to measure, but I can estimate. I can estimate those just by eye. I suggest we do that before the mirror so I can halve my time. I'm not going to do it in the sketch contour because that would involve editing the sketch heavily. So I'm going to do it here as a feature. I'm going to make it 0.3 of a millimeter. I'm going to, can be difficult with this sort of view and this sort of edge to find it. That works okay. I'm going to use the selection toolbar. Just hover over that, go to the right, and that's going to get all connected to end to internal loops, 15 edges. You can see that's all of my edges in one selection. So very quick, I don't need to go through one by one. Press OK. And if we have a look at that view, you know, how does that look against the sample we've got here? It's probably pretty close. Maybe these are a little bit bigger. Easy. So I just grabbed this fillet. I only got one dimension to change. 0.5, probably too big. Maybe it's 0.4. All right, that looks much better. Let's roll down our mirror, and I'm going to edit our mirror to include our fillet. That is done. And that part is now looking really, really neat. I don't know if there's much more we need to add. There may very well be a very small radius on that outside edge. But, oh man. I don't know if that's one I should put in. Yeah, let's put in something really tiny. Put in a 2 millimeter radius. 0.2. No, don't like it. Don't like it. 0.1. That's good. Don't need it. No, take it off. Done. Part is finished. We're going to save. We need to update the color. It should be dark bluish gray. Now we had our color sheet from last week, Lego colors here, but they did not have that color, I don't think. No. On this website, Bricklink, they don't really have that perfect color either. So we are just going to look at our assembly. What color is this? This is a light blue. This is dark gray. Are they the same? These two? Oh, pretty similar. I'd say yes. So we're going to copy that appearance and paste that over here on this part. Fantastic. All right, one part done. I'm just going to grab a quick drink. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm really happy with this camera. I do need to do a little bit of work to set it up, so I've got a few different scenes, different zooms to work with, but that quality is so much better for doing this kind of work. So that's awesome. Let's jump now. What we can do is have a look at the variations that we've got to do. And I do want to fix this camera up. Zoom cam small, zoom cam. All right, we'll keep going with this one for now. So we've done this part. We've now got four other variations to make, which are these four here. Let's do the big L shape first, because there's some very clear similarities in those two. Yeah, you can see that coming around there. So we'll do that one. And then move on probably to the shorter L. So we open up that file and let's find, you can see the brick link parts here. This is the L-shaped one. You get the name. We're going to save it as a copy. So go save as, copy and open. And we're going to change the name. So new number. Now it's green, we'll get rid of that. So Technic Liftarm. Modified bent thick L-shape. Green. Keep the original open, and this is our new green one. Now, if you haven't seen it last week, bright green, green, I think it's going to be that color. We want to update the color. I'm going to update it here in the part. I click on this eyedropper. I'm going to drag that all the way over to the side of my screen. Select the green, press OK. Done. Happy with that. All right, so let's modify this one now to get this L shape. So we've already got basics. What we can do, there's a few different ways we could do this. We could modify the original sketch and all the subsequent sketches. I think we will go that approach, which means we'll go through one by one and update these. And then hopefully we don't have to update much for the mirrors. Because really what we're doing is just adding on 2 extra slots on this side. I'm going to roll. I'm going to move the roll bar up. So this is how we're going to do it. Because when you move the roll bar up, it just means you only need to deal with one error at a time. This can be a little bit easier to manage, particularly for learning. I'm going to come in and edit this sketch. And at this point, I'm going to decide which end I want to put the additional slots. I'm going to put it on at the orientation you can see I've got on screen. So I'm going to grab another slot tool. Now it's going to create overlapping contours, but I'm not too fussed about that because of the way we're modeling this. And I'm going to measure the length, which is 23.2. I'm going to put that dimension in. Now, if this works out, what we should find is that the distance between these circles is the same when I go up this way. Now, seeing that dimension right there at 8.05 makes me think that this is 0.2 millimeters off. That's better. All right. I remember from our last Lego project, We did a lot of mucking around with the spacing of holes, and we ended up having an 8mm spacing. So that I'm much more comfortable with that. We're going to select this hole here on the bottom right. I'm going to do a linear sketch pattern, but I'm going to use the Y-axis. Press OK. And then, like I did the first time, I'm going to grab this top one, move it to that center point, and now it's fully defined. So now I press OK. I'm expecting an error in the feature. This, because I've added more contours in the sketch, I now need to update the feature. I can't do that here. I need to exit the sketch and rebuild anyway. Now I go into my boss extrude, and I have to select new contours. 3 clicks, done. Very easy, right? Like that, super fast. It's so much easier than doing anything else. Now, when I come roll down one, again, I've got another error for this feature. If we edit the feature, we're going to see what's wrong. It's lost the face, all right? Because we changed the contours in the first sketch. The whole body is completely different. Well, not the body, the whole, the references, like the face geometry is different. So we just got to select this face again to get a new selection. Press OK, good. And now we're going to edit that feature because we're going to select these additional holes so that they're included as well. All right, as we can see, it's going to have all the same hole detail as the original part. Now, if we've done that correctly, if I roll down on the mirror, that should work without issue. And we can see that there, that has updated. Now, the cut extrude is going to have some errors because the offset was based on the outside sketch of the original one. That's now changed, hasn't it? All right, we no longer have that kind of slot all the way around. So I'm going to have to select that, delete it. Also, a couple of those edges have lost their references. So I'm going to delete that one and that one. May as well delete all of these and do this one again. All right, so the outside edge, we're going to go select tangency, offset, 1mm, reverse. That one's done. Then we're going to convert all of these edges. Convert. And then I'm going to offset those. Now, might have been easier to do them all at once. Want to reverse that? No, reverse. If I select them all first in one big box, that might have made it easier. But all right, so we've done our contours, and I'm going to press OK, exit. I'm going to update. First, I'm going to update my sketch plane. That's got an error. It's missing its face. And then I'm going to update the feature itself. And I need to select the new contours to cut. Same as we did last time. There's that tricky one there. Now, that's going to change. That's probably going to cause me some issues later when I try and fill it. We'll deal with that then. Press OK. And let's just save quickly. How do you decide when to use multi-body parts versus assemblies? It depends on what the assembly is going to be, how much complexity goes into the part design. If it's something simple, and just a couple of parts, then I might design it all as multi-body and then split it out to an assembly later. If it's going to be very complicated, let's use an example of one of these Lego assemblies where there's 50 parts, 100 parts. I'd definitely prefer to do them one by one or split them into more easy to control and manipulate sections. If you try and build everything, all detail in one multi-body file, the file will become unmanageable. So a lot of it is around working on the limitations of the software as well. Let's work on these fillets. And we're going to reselect these edges. And I'm going to get as many of those as I can. I'll press OK. Now that's all good except for this one. This one needs to change, but I'm going to do that in a slightly different way. So if we have a look at that detail, just here, now you can see that there's basically a wall section in between, whereas in my CAD model at the moment, there's a gap. I just need to close that gap. I'm going to close it with a boss extrude. So I'm going to roll down my mirror. So I've got this on both sides. And then to fill that gap, I'm going to show you a little bit of a sneaky trick to use the geometry we've already created. So first up, construction line. Second, another construction line. Third, convert this edge. Fourth, mirror that edge. Fifth, mirror this edge. Sixth, change the first one to for construction. Lastly, convert these edges. And then I'm going to hit E for extrude. I'm going to, it wants me to select thin feature. I don't want to do that. See if I can avoid it. Yeah, I've selected that contour. I'm going to uncheck thin feature. I'm going to change up to surface the other side. And there we go. We've got the geometry we need. Consistency. Save the part. That's another one done. Now there is there's a black version and a yellow version of this part. The yellow one's slightly shorter. The black one we're going to just save straight away. So we'll go save as. First we'll put it in the assembly. We'll put the green one in. And then we're going to go File, Save As, save a copy and open. And find the details for the black version, which is here, 32526. Same number. It is same number, just different color. That's fine. Save as copy, black. And we're going to keep the original open. Going to change this color to a black color. And insert that one into the assembly as well. Did that answer your question, Het? Or if you've got a follow-up, feel free. All right, I'll close the black, go back to the green, and now I can make the yellow version. Now the yellow version is slightly different again, we can see. Let's find the number for it. Put our name and number here. So save as, copy and open. Going to be a yellow one. What's our yellow color? Let's go to the assembly. We can copy and paste. All right, now once again, we're going to modify the geometry without starting again. We're just going to work out what we need to change bit by bit. Now, let's edit the sketch. And first up, the number of holes reduces to 4. So I'm going to change that to 4. These holes, number of those instances changes to 2. See, that's actually lost its reference. That's okay. I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to then reduce this length. I think it's going to come down by 8. So 31.2 for that part. Let's see. Yep, pretty happy with that. I just moved that circle ever so slightly to reduce it. This dimension is going to come down by 8. This circle is going to join up over here and is going to be the same size as this one. I'm going to add this detail now. We're going to add it now. It's got a little through section as well where the wall's too thin. Let's add it later. Let's go accept that. I want to get this thin feature done. Now look at that. Because we only removed geometry, we didn't add anything new, this one just rolled down. We didn't even have to change anything. So that first one, very good. What about the next one? That's got some issues. That's okay. We will fix those. We're going to edit the sketch. We're going to delete the ones we don't need. That's out here. Delete. This one, we're just going to make it the same size as this. It's okay. And we're going to update our feature to change the contours that's selected. So 1, 2, 3. That's all we need to select. Now, before we do the fillet, that's where I'm going to cut or change this hole. And this hole is going to be a consistent detail. And one thing I have noticed, because it's got the cross in it, it actually does not use this cut here. So I want to delete that contour from this feature. There we go. Now that gives me an error for this hole, but I can remove that one and I can just make this and this equal. Coincident. Okay, so the plus shape. The plus shape is something we've done quite a few times. I'm going to convert the edge, going to draw a wall like this. make that equal, put a 0.2 millimeter radius on the inside. I'm going to use a right plane to mirror. I'm going to, actually, I'm going to try that again. I'm going to do a circular pattern. Move that to the origin and then add a dimension, which has been 1.8 or 1.9. Let's have a look. I'm going to zoom in. Doesn't want to zoom. Camera. Oh dear. You get in there, just get the measurement. 1.8 or 1.9. Leave it at 1.8. And I'm going to extrude. I'm going to select these sections. And I'm going to go all the way to this side. Now that's created our plus shape, our cross shape. But we need to cut that at the cut between the two. And we can see in this example as well, it goes all the way through. So we've got to do that in one step. We're going to do that here on the top plane. We're going to convert those edges. We're going to convert this edge and draw in 2 more lines. Trim this, and then do an extruded cut that goes all the way through. That removes that. And then we're ready to do the fillets. Now we can roll down. I'm going to have some errors on these fillets. It's missing some edges. Just missing one edge here. And it's missing 2 edges over here. Looking great. I can roll down on the mirror. Now, what's wrong with the mirror? It doesn't like this. Okay. Oh. That's pretty interesting. Cut extrude 1, fillet 1. Let's try it again with do those two. Going to mirror. Geometry pattern. All right, definitely doesn't like this. That cut. Cut 1. Cut 2. We might have to move the mirror. That's some trouble we're getting here. This gives me the result, but I'm getting the error, which we don't want. In which case, let's just remove the fillet. And I'll just do separate fillets. doesn't really take that long. As we can see, it's only really one selection. We get all the edges. I'm going to remove these edges, which I don't want. That looks really good. And then we're ready for that last little detail again. Let's see if that rolls down. No. You can see all the faces have moved. So I just need to go through that process again. Put this back where it belongs. Remove all of that. Convert this. Put this construction line in. Mirror that section. Mirror this section. Convert that edge. Press OK. Edit. Oh, contour. It's selected that contour. Beautiful. Done. I think that's everything on this part. That was very quick. And save and drop it into the assembly. We are making some really good progress. All right, so we've done 4. We've done those 4. Now there's 2 yellow thin ones to go, plus this black bent one. We'll do the black bent one now. And we'll do it based on this yellow one because, again, there's a lot of similarities. If we got rid of this section here and just had the bottom section and then we did a duplicate of it at a different angle, well, that's going to give us this part. So it's going to be quicker again to do. So let's find detail, that one. Up here, black. That's the name. I'm going to save a copy. Technic Liftarm. All right, and let's get the color right. This one is black. Okay, so we're going to roll right back to the first extrude and we're going to delete the additional contour. Delete that, move that circle so it's on the right point, press OK. That feature is all right because all we did was delete stuff. It was quick and easy. The next cut extrude, similar thing. Okay, we're only deleting, so it's just adding detail. It's just removing what we've already removed. Nothing additional to do. That's okay. These cuts, now these cuts are different. Let's fix this. Because in this example here, we do not need any of this detail. We do want this edge to just continue. That's fine. Press OK. I'm going to, there's still some errors in that sketch. It's not visible, but we may be able to find it. Or it might just be this whole chain. So what we'll do is select the whole chain, go to offset, 1 millimeter, reverse, press OK, and OK, and then update the contours that we're using. One, two, three, okay, that's better. We'll use that boss extrude again. We'll use this cut again. The mirror, we're mirroring that first cut. The fillets. Now we lost a lot of those references because we redid some of those cuts, so we're just going to put all those back in. Now that's the majority, except we do not want these ones, so I'm just going to manually deselect these. And okay, yep. Right, so that detail, all good. We do not need this last boss extrude, so I'm going to delete that. And now we can mirror or even do a circular pattern. Now, what I can notice looking at this part is, I believe it's not. I thought maybe it was a 45-degree angle, but it is not. It's definitely not. So what is it? How do we measure it? Well, we could probably measure it like this. How high is it from the flat? That will help us get the angle. So I'm going to use my calipers. The top face is all the way down. And that's close to 18 millimeters. How does that help us? Well, I can go on the top plane here. And I can draw redraw this, convert that construction line here. I'm going to mirror that chain around the construction line. Now see how it's underdefined? That's fine. That's good. So what I can do is do a construction line from this one to this one. Put the mirror. The mirror is going to be on that midpoint. And then I can go from here to here and make that 18. And that shows me the exact angle that I need. It's geometry, right? Flat line across there. What's the distance from here to here? Now, the whole point of this is to work out my angles, because now I can do a pattern that is 126.5 degrees. All right, so I'm going to do a circular pattern. This is the axis. Maybe not that line. This might, yeah, not the line. This face. It's going to be this body. We said 126.5. Go minus. I can't do that. I have to press the other direction. Press OK. Hide the sketch. And combine the two bodies together. There we go. Super easy. Another one done. Let's save that. Put it in our assembly. And we are flying through these ones. We've got 2 left to go. Two small yellow ones. And these are both straight, and they're both similar to this. They've got that detail in the end. So we'll use this version. And we'll create the longer one first, and then the shorter one. So the longer one here, save a copy, and open. All right. Now, very, very similar in detail. Doesn't have the L shape on the end. Does have the little cut in between. Does have everything else. It's just a much thinner part. The thickness is 4 or 3.8, 3.9, 3.9. So let's roll right back and start from here. We're going to delete this, and we have, this is 5 holes, which means the length goes back out plus 8. And this number of holes goes back up to 5. It's not coincident there. It's going to be here. Press OK. And change this feature to 3.9. Yeah, half of what it was. Now, we're going to have to, I was going to say we're going to have to update these contours, but we don't. They're already there, just the middle 3, because the one on the end, its 4th one, is new. Don't have to worry about it. Mirrored feature, done. Next part, this central detail, we need to update some of our sketches here. Let's delete that and delete that. I'm going to put a circle on the ends. I'm going to select chain for that and offset 1 millimeter. That'll give us our contours. We now have to update those contour selections. 2, 3, 4. All right, that's quick. Then we're going to fill in that hole. What we'll do on this example here is mirror. So I'm going to mirror entities. I'm going to select all of that and mirror to the right. And then update the contours that I'm selecting. So we get the detail on both sides in the same feature. That's going to do a cut. The cut it wants to do is here. Just need to update some references. I'm going to do a similar thing. I'm going to mirror once again. Press OK, exit, and then select my contours through all. Now here I'm just mirroring those cuts. Then I'm going to update my fillets. So clear all those edges and select basically every edge connected. It's going to take a little bit to get them right. That's all right. Right, so I've got them all there. I do have to deselect a couple, but it is still quicker. Always trying to work out the most efficient way, whether it's by adding on selections or removing selections. I think in this example, this is the quickest way. There's probably a box selection trick you could use as well. All right, so those are all done. And that's it. No other detail to do. That part is done. Drop that into the assembly. And we're going to save a copy of that for our next one. Copied one is 6632 and it's a 1x3. Six, 6, 3, 2, and 1x3. All right, so in this example, we're just reducing a few things, aren't we? We're reducing a couple of holes. We are reducing a length. All right, so a couple of simple changes to the sketch geometry. That's done. For my cuts here, I only want to use the middle contour. So that's very quick. Okay. Then we've got that same plus detail both sides. Here I have to get rid of some obsolete details. Let's get those to equal. I'm going to have to update that extruded cut. Reselect my regions. Update my boss extrude. In this case, the features and everything can stay. I just need to change where this pattern is happening from. And move it to the middle one here. And everything updates. That's very quick and easy. Go through old cut there. Now this needs to get updated. Once again, I need to update the mirror position. With that done, I then need to update the contour selection. Update the mirror. Now, what's the mirror used for here? It's not used for anything. I'm going to delete it. It was the fillets, but the fillets are 0.4. Try that again. Delete, advanced, yes. Edit the fillets. Press OK, because I just want to keep the fillets that I already have. That is done. And then I'm going to insert into the assembly. Insert 1x3. And look, we are making awesome progress now. We have only a number of parts left to do, which will be done in the next stream or two. Let's have a look over in our list. We have done these lift arms. We have done this one. We've done the green one. We've done these yellow ones. So we're down now to a much more complicated bucket, that curve cover, the wheel, and a couple of smaller parts. And then fixing up the gears. And then we'll move on to the assembly. We could probably assemble most of those first steps now. We'd get stuck. We don't have this orange part. We haven't modeled it yet in this project, but we've got more projects coming. We've already modeled that. I might just bring it over. I'm not sure if we will remodel that part. These curve and then these curve parts to go. So awesome. Well, we're going to leave it there. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. If you're watching the stream replay afterwards, please feel free to leave any thoughts in the comments below. Anything you'd like me to check out in the next stream or questions you want answered live, leave a comment and I will do that. Thanks very much. See you in the next one, guys.